Hey everybody, I wanted to talk about drum enclosures in the church. Hot topic. So I wanted to discuss 4 or 5 different common enclosure options that we see for drums and how it relates to sound quality, aesthetics, and some of the different elements to think about when making that purchase. Okay, so the reason I'm making this video is because I'm tired and sick of seeing churches all across the country make decisions on different drum enclosure options or electric drums or whatever have you, and then they revert back and forth and spend countless tens of thousands of dollars or more, and it's a waste. And I'm trying to figure out how can we be a better steward of our finances as far as drum enclosures go. Now, as a drummer and as a sound guy, I don't want the drums to be enclosed if they don't have to be, but I do understand that the church's needs or the desires of that church may require it to be enclosed. Traveling across the country, I understand that most churches have skilled laborers that are able to do DIY type builds, and so a lot of times it makes sense to do that. It's a little bit cheaper, and a lot of times their work is great. The main problem is the lack of knowledge understanding acoustics and sound. I'm fairly certain 90% of the DIY enclosures that I've seen include the Amazon fabric here. This type of foam is absorbing some of the really high frequencies, but not really doing what we need it to do. So this is probably one of the worst ways to acoustically treat a drum enclosure. So I've talked about some of the negative stuff, but I'm going to talk about some of the positive stuff at the end for DIY builds. Another common option that I see is cymbal baffles, or the round plexiglass shields that are in front of the cymbals. This is a great solution if you don't need to fully enclose your kit, but you do need to help some of the cymbal bleed from going into a lead vocal mic or a background vocal mic. However, these are just reflecting those sound waves, they're not absorbing the sound waves. Okay, I know I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings, but the third option that I typically see is the fishbowl. Whitley Solutions has a enclosure called the Phoenix enclosure, which has a curved plexiglass shield or front to it, which is very aesthetically pleasing, but I'm gonna show you in a couple seconds why that's such a bad thing. Okay, so the issue with this, I'm gonna show you this photo right here, is this is a photo representing the sound waves hitting a flat surface versus a concave or convex surface. When it hits a concave or convex surface, it's going to refract the sound waves, meaning additional reflections are created. Whereas if a sound wave hits a flat surface, it's just going to reflect back and forth. I'm not trying to get too much into the science of this, but it's going to sound way worse. Now, I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but specifically because my experience has been with the Whitley Solutions Phoenix enclosures, there is no actual acoustic treatment in those enclosures. So on top of it refracting, it's also not being absorbed. So those sound waves are just going back and forth for a very long time before they die down. Ultimately, not something that I recommend. All right, my number 2 solution is the Clearsonic enclosure. The reason that I like this one the most is because it's the easiest and the fastest way to get good results. You can purchase different options based on the needs of your church, and it just works. However, some people find this aesthetically displeasing. So I have my number 1 option, and that is doing DIY, but doing it well. Here are a couple photos of what I'm talking about. We have some enclosures that are made of either thick plexiglass or real glass, and we have acoustic panels that are spec'd out by a professional. Now, there are a ton of different ways to recreate this last option that I'm presenting to you guys, but it ultimately takes connecting with someone that understands sound, acoustics, the needs of your church to come up with a solution that you won't regret. I would love to be a part of the solution and helping you guys. So if you guys are looking for different options or you're in the purchasing stage, please connect with me. I'd love to chat with you guys and figure out how we can work together to make something happen.